Hello, fingerboard world. Today is, what is it, June 21st, 2018. Today is going to be a very special day because we are interviewing our guy from Chems FB. Great grip tape, great boards, great products from those guys over that way. Super excited to talk and basically get more information about their company. You know what I mean? I know for a fact that they've been doing the engraving and process and that whole thing for a while. And it's really excited to be able to talk to somebody that's kind of put that impact on fingerboarding and fingerboard foam tape. But like I said, and like I always usually say, I'm Stevie Harkins, Stevie from the Sesh on Instagram. Today, let's talk about some fingerboarding. First things first, Arc Ramps just added a new guy to their team. I think his name is like Bordeva or something like that, but congrats to him. And he's throwing down bangers and some pretty good, like, consistent lines, so it's dope to see them adding to their team. I know for a fact that Monorails and the Fingerboard Connoisseur, like, board rails, like, collabo, that officially is out. Like, that is officially dropped. So if you're trying to get some new, like, Fingerboard Connoisseur finished, like, really nice quality board rails, definitely head over to them and basically grab whatever you can. Today's Go Skateboarding Day as well. So if you're a skater, I know I am, but I do not have a deck right now. I broke mine at the end of the school year, so I've just been kind of on my FB grind, I guess. But if you went out and skated today, give yourself a good pat on the back. That's like the forefather of what we do. So shouts out to everybody who went skateboarding today and did their thing. I know also, what else is going on? Hang on, let me see. Sliding. I think it's like Razorback Fingerboards has a stock drop. I know they're a smaller company that's coming up, so give them a quick shout out to those guys. They have a stock drop or they had a stock dropped already, so that's dope for them. Level Edges, I know for a fact that they got their team writers pumping out a bunch of good quality stuff because they had that recent drop of their stuff going on. And I know they have some pretty actual nice quality gold ledges and like colored, like really well like painted ledges. So definitely give them a quick look. I definitely like the way that their stuff is looking. And it's got like that brick finish. So that's kind of like looking my size. I definitely want to give that a try. Anything else? I'm kind of just doing a quick breeze through. I had notes and stuff, but a lot of the stuff was old stuff that I had already dropped. A lot of people like that did their jobs for a little bit earlier. I know ASI Berlin Shop, if you're out that way in Europe, it just restocked, so definitely grab your stuff from them. I know they got a bunch of ramps and stuff if you're out in EU. And then yeah, I think that's it. Yep. And then as for the schedule this week, before we start the interview, for the schedule this week, like I said, Sunday we have Beef Decks coming on. No, Saturday we have Beef Decks coming on, and then Sunday we have hang on, I gotta check. Sorry, I have so much stuff planned. It's so much good stuff coming on. Sunday, I think it's either. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Friday, tomorrow, we have Rainy Days, I believe, coming on. He's a mini obstacle / a mini like art piece maker. He does really good miniatures of a lot of different things. So if that's what you're kind of into and you want to check that out, we'll be kind of doing that type of interview tomorrow. I got to just solidify what time it is. And then I know we're going to have Clutch FB. He's a writer for Stacked coming on. Yeah, I don't remember. It's sometime next week, I believe. Yeah. Sometime next week we're gonna have Clutch FB on here, and then we also have I believe it was Suppy coming on. Yeah, Sunday. Hang on. Yeah, Suppy FB. Yeah, we're gonna talk with him. Yeah, I think that we're going to grab... We have someone on Sunday for sure. Okay, I'll solidify it and I'll post it on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to give you guys a quick outlook of who we have coming on. And then, of course, we're going to have SW Index, that new writer, coming on to do that first segment of up-and-coming writers without sponsors, and giving them a little bit of a spotlight, a little bit of a chance to talk about what it takes to come up in the new fingerboard scene and things like that. today. So let's go ahead and give Kems a call, and we'll talk to him about his grip tape company or foam tape company and stuff like that, and all the stuff he's got coming out in engraving and stuff like that. So let me hop over to the Discord. We are not sponsored by Discord, but I do love the product. Discord, holler at me. I use you for all my calls. Little jingle real quick for you guys. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, I can hear you. How's it going? Hello, hello. Hang on, we might be having some technical difficulties here.
Yeah, I hear that. Is that you or me?
What, is you hear an echo?
Hold on just a second.
Okay. Yeah, let's make sure we got everything okay over on both ends here.
Can you call me right back?
Yes.
Are we?
Here, let's give him another call.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Okay, cool, excellent. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Super excited to talk about your tape today and like basically how you came to the scene. Of course, first things first, you want to kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself?
Oh, there we go. I hear it again.
Is it like an echo?
Do you hear? No, it's like my phone is talking. It's like Siri or something.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you might have a...
Let me, can I call you right back?
Yeah.
Or can you try calling me again?
Yes. Okay. He might have to leave the call. There you go. He had to jump out of his call. Sorry, this is sometimes you got a little bit of technical difficulties when it comes to this shit. When you're trying to get people in the call. Hey, what's going on, Rakero? How you doing, brother? And everybody that's in the Twitch chat, feel free to chat it up and talk and ask questions and stuff like that because I am checking that. I am like making sure I keep up with that shit. So you guys can ask questions and do what you got to do. But we are gonna give him a call back right now. I just want to make sure he's got his because he's doing it off the Discord phone app, and sometimes that thing can be a little funky. So we'll give him another call. Hello. Hello.
All right.
All right. Is it better?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, man.
Okay, cool.
How's it going?
All right. Is it like do you hear talking still, or is it working for you?
No, it's good now. It's
Okay.
all good.
Okay, cool. So like I was saying, do you mind basically giving us a little bit of intro about yourself?
Yeah, man. So, okay, I'm Chems FB. A lot of people mispronounce my name. It's pronounced Chems, like chemical. Some people say it's, Chems, like it looks, Chems. But anyway, it's Chems, and I've been making fingerboard stuff for about a year and a half now. The name Chems actually comes from, that's what I write in graffiti. So I've been painting graffiti for quite a few years before.
Okay. I always thought you had kind of like
started.
that spray tag look to the logo itself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it all came from. Before I started making fingerboards, I was actually just painting graffiti, making graffiti art, and selling it on my
Okay.
site, painting little model trains and small canvases mainly.
That's awesome. That's actually really cool. I'm with my breakdance history and stuff, I think graffiti is like a really awesome art, and it kind of bleeds into skateboarding and kind of these hobbies like this. So I think
Yeah,
like that's
definitely.
probably a really good reason why you came kind of made the journey over to fingerboarding. Is that kind of why I feel like I guess I'm kind of skipping ahead here, but with the whole imprinted graphic foam tape, like I guess when you look at foam tape, it's always kind of just been like a black blank canvas, and you can kind of do whatever with it. Do you feel like your art influence kind of made you feel realize maybe we could put something on the foam tape and not just make the decks the graphics?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So the way that actually it's pretty interesting how it came about. So I'm really new to the fingerboarding scene. Um, so like as far as professional fingerboarding goes, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, until probably 2 years ago. I mean, I had seen stuff online here and there, whatever,
Right.
but it was always just, I always had a tech deck in my pocket. I've been skateboarding for 21 years. Ever since tech decks came out, I always had one in my pocket, whatever. So, so I didn't know much about it. And whenever I started making fingerboards, I had also just uh, started working out of a lab near my house for fun
Okay.
that had, all sorts of machinery. And I was messing around with laser engraving a lot. And basically, anything I could get my hands on, I was engraving it. So I, would mess with different materials like acrylic and glass, uh, of course, wood and plastics, anything that I could put an image on
Awesome.
or cut. I was using this machine to do that, which
Cool.
was weird. It was different for me because everything I had done in the past was all done by hand. All of my drawings, everything, all of my canvases, everything that I did was done by hand. So now I started using a machine. Anyway, uh,
No, that's a cool kind of
what
like
had
polar
happened
opposite.
was, what's that?
No, I was just saying that's cool kind of how like that transition was made that you were going from like freehand street style art to like very stencil, well, not stencil based, but like imprint style, like laser engraving. But as you were saying,
Right, right. Yeah. So, so shortly into my fingerboard journey, I, I was I was just buying cheap foam tape on Amazon or whatever. I mean, I was making everything for myself.
right,
I wasn't making fingerboards to sell at the time. And I just went ahead and I tried engraving it, and it worked well. I thought it was cool, and I wasn't aware that other people had already done that. Like, I know that Black River was probably one of the OGs for laser engraving. I know they do a lot of stuff like that.
yeah,
So it's obviously it had been done long before I did it, but uh, I did it. I thought it was cool, but I really didn't think much of it.
right,
And engraving the tape, it smells really bad. It it's not it's not a fun thing to do. It creates a lot of nasty like emissions, I guess, whenever while you're doing it. So I was like, yeah, I could do that, but I'm really not gonna mess with it. So then later on, whenever I was starting to make fingerboards, I think I started selling them, and it was like my first real stock, I guess.
right.
And there was some people in the community that had befriended me, welcomed me. One of them was Nomad Brad. I don't know if you know him, but that's his Instagram name.
Okay,
Super cool guy, really nice. And he had I was actually making some custom fingerboards for him, and I had mentioned to him about engraving the tape, and he wanted me to do it for him. And I said, I could, but like, it makes all this black dust.
right. And you're like
Like, I
kind of
don't
giving
know if,
the cons of it. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I don't know if we should do it, you know. And he's like, oh man, do it for me or whatever. So I made the pot leaf grip tape, which I call the OG Kush now. But I made that for Brad.
Oh,
He
cool.
actually works at a dispensary, and he had me make engraved fingerboards for all of his employees, and it had engraved pot leaf foam tape to go with each deck.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
basically, he set up, 10 completes or whatever to give out to all the people that he worked with just for fun.
That's awesome.
And
Best
so
boss.
he encouraged me. I said, I'm not going to do this and sell it. And he said, man, you need to do this. He said, I'll go partner with you. I'll buy the tape. He was like so cool. And so he pushed me. I mean, we talked about
Right.
where it could go, like what could be done with it. And at that point, it was just like, okay, I could put pot leaves and lightning bolts and this and that
Right.
on this tape. So that's what I started to do. And for a long time, that's kind of, I guess, where I got my first, I don't know, my real start was from my first batch of engraved decks with like the Charles Pro model and then the engraved tape that I was selling along with those later on.
Right, and that's like that was like the beginning of like the idea that you could actually sell this stuff. That's actually very interesting. Now you said that you were new to the fingerboard scene, so you didn't really know too much about like the pro scene or anything like that. Like you didn't even know that engraved tape exists because you weren't, too, I guess, involved with like it before that. Who were the first couple people you reached out to when it came to like or like videos you watched, or were there any like specific writers or people that you kind of were like, oh, this is what like the scene is like, or this is professional fingerboarding?
Well, so as far as like fingerboarding itself goes, I mean, I was definitely interested in it. I was definitely interested in the tricks that people were doing and the consistency that they had and all the technicalities, all the technical tricks, everything. It was awesome. Now, like whenever I first got my eyes on the pro fingerboarding world on Instagram, I was more so interested in the brands that were the brands that I saw, and because
Right.
I was interested, I've always been making stuff, so I was interested in making something for myself, and I was inspired by deck or brand deck brands like Simple and of course Beast Pants. Like
Okay.
I saw those guys, and I wasn't really looking out too much for certain riders or anything, but I know that one that always stood out to me was Cass FB,
Okay.
who also happened to be riding for Beast Pants. That's maybe why I saw them. Maybe why I saw him, because he was pro for Beast Pants, and he was always really good. Like I was blown away by that stuff. He just kills it constantly.
Yeah, his consistency is ridiculous. So that was
Yeah.
like you were more turned on, like, well, that makes sense. Being starting off as a brand, you're more looking towards like inspirations as a brand maker. So that totally makes sense. But so you're saying like, were you trying to angle your company or chems, I guess, to kind of be on that level of like almost not only like performance but aesthetic wise, like seen as top tier product?
To be honest, man, it I did not expect that I was going to be selling fingerboards. I had no idea. Like whenever I started, I was literally just making decks for myself. I thought I could buy. I said, "Man, I need a wooden fingerboard." And then I was like, "Well, I could just make that.
Okay.
I can make stuff. I'll just make one." and then I started pushing and trying to make them better and whatever, and then I don't know, it just kind of fell into place, and I really did not have any. I don't know, being a
Intention.
maker, yeah, being a maker, it's hard to view myself. Like, it's easy to look at other people and what they're doing, but for me to have like an outside perspective on like what it is that I'm doing, and what I would consider, what level of quality I would consider myself as, it's really hard for me to judge that.
No, that makes sense. Like the
Um,
self-judging angle, like it's hard to do that when you only know yourself. Like that makes plenty of
right.
sense. I mean, like with the success though, like are you kind of starting to understand now, like maybe the steps you took, like even though you like a lot of people will be like, oh, I've been making this for I've been fingerboarding since like 2008, and I've been in the scene all aggressively since then and stuff like that. But I guess like coming from it like, as a new maker and new vision to the scene, like do you feel like the success that you had, like were there any specific things that you were like, oh, I'm glad that I was doing that like so early before I even realized that this was going to be beneficial to me?
Well, yeah, yeah. Looking back at it, um, you know, I had my graffiti Instagram previous to my fingerboarding Instagram. My graffiti Instagram is Chem's Graph, GRAF, and
Okay.
I had recently, just before I started my fingerboarding page, I had just recently hit 11K on my graffiti page, and I thought that was really cool. I was, I was already selling my art and advertising my stuff on Instagram, sharing with people, doing custom work. I already had my website built. So I feel like because of that, I kind of had a head start on a lot of things. I knew just what I needed to do to get people to see my stuff, and for me, how I can do custom work for people, and how I can add everything to my site and whatever needed to be done as far as like marketing and selling
Right.
a brand. So basically, I feel like the power of Instagram allowed me to move forward so quickly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I mean, it's all about the support of the community, and um, even if nobody buys anything, I mean, even if they just comment on a post or like a post, or show their friends something, it's like, people don't have to buy something to support.
Exactly.
uh, so it's just, yeah, it's just about being active really on Instagram. I think that was my main key to success, and yeah, I mean, I have a lot of room to grow, that's for sure. Um,
No, that
I've
makes
been
plenty of sense
looking at.
though. Like your marketing background with the graffiti Instagram, and you knew what it was like to build a niche page, and keep the small community you build like kind of active within itself. And if the skills spill over, I was talking last time with Chris Daniels about how like creative outlets in fingerboarding, it always like there's always something else a fingerboarder does. There's always several different things like in hobbies and creative outlets that we have, because it's so easy to go hand in hand and build a brand. When you're open to many things. With that though, and the people that kind of are involved with Kim's, like your writers and stuff, coming new into the scene. How did you go about like selecting who you wanted to kind of test your product? Not just people on the team, but like who tests the product as well.
Well, um, one of the first guys was, again, Nomad Brad, who was a huge supporter from the beginning.
Right.
Um, he definitely he was happy to buy my stuff and give me feedback on everything. Um, really, I mean, as far as people testing it out, I really can't think of too many people that I mean I wasn't really sending my stuff to anybody. I was basically testing it out myself and figuring out that the custom mold I just made was junk and I had to remake it or something like that. Um,
No, that makes sense.
really, whenever my product started being tested regularly, and then I was getting regular feedback was whenever I started the team.
Right.
Um, the team started with Charles, which you know Charles, don't you?
Yeah. I'm pretty well
So
familiar with most of the writers on your team.
yeah, so he actually contacted me. He was my first real writer. Well, actually, there were a couple other guys. They tested out the decks as well. I don't really know them well. I can't remember their names. They basically convinced me that I should sponsor them. I did, and then basically right after they got my stuff, they just kind of gave me a little feedback, and they just left. They didn't do anything after that. So they kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. Then I went and I sponsored Charles, which was kind of hard because he lives um, so far away, and the shipping in his country isn't very great. So
So that
it
was
was
pretty
like,
pricey.
yeah, it was like 2 months before he even got the first pack that I sent him.
Jesus.
And finally, he started letting me know about the decks and everything. Um, and he was my only rider for a long time. He gave me plenty of feedback, but it was kind of hard because he just said they were great. He didn't tell me like,
He was a super supportive
oh man,
teammate.
your tail. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was fine. I mean, I believe that he truly thought they were, but there was definitely improvements that needed to be made, and I figured that out after later on getting other team riders, talking to them about what they like, and and then applying that. So I had, as far as the decks go, I had, gosh, I've made around 12 different molds,
Oh wow.
and I've only released 3 shapes out of those 12.
Oh wow, that's actually like
Uh,
a lot of attempts. But that makes plenty
yeah,
of sense though. A lot of people just make one mold and expect that to carry them through their entire like deck building career. But that's like how you become stagnant as a company. I feel like you have to come at it with that idea that there's always room for improvement.
yeah, I actually made, it was like I made 3 molds before I even released uh, my first decks, and then after that, I just kept on making molds, trying to find the next shape. And um, then I did, you know, finally, basically, I just kept on working at it, and I finally came up with the current shape that I have, which now it's the only shape that I'm offering. Um,
Oh, okay.
it's like an overall medium shape. It's called the Mid Pro, and it seems like most everyone likes it. Whenever I do it polls on Instagram, you know, there's like 85% of the people prefer that shape.
Okay.
So I think I'll just stick with that unless anyone requests the lower shape.
All right, so it's like a medium, like an overall medium kick, concave combo or feel, I should say.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the nose is slightly steeper than tail. and just a tad bit longer. And I prefer using it, and I feel like a lot of other people do. It
Okay.
seems though that everyone has their preference, and it always changes too. Like a lot of guys, especially the really technical riders who've been doing it for a long time, they seem to do really well with a super low shape,
Right.
low concave, low kicks, and that's they have like loads of style, and they're skating almost what looks like a you know plank. It's just like
Yeah,
so low, and
I've noticed that as well. It's like I feel like it's the tech deck route. If you've been doing it long enough, there's always like, oh, if this is too much concave and too kick, it's like it doesn't feel like the way I know the way the fingerboard should feel. Like the boards will always get wider, I feel, but the concave and the kicks will always like depending on the rider will be low. I actually
yeah,
don't mind riding a medium board, but like yeah, I could see that being an issue with some of the riders.
yeah, and it's true. If you have too high of kicks and too high of concave, you lose control. I feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a different feel when it's like that dramatic of a board. That's kind of why people shy away from certain like the new tech deck mold itself, the newest one they came out with. Everybody feels like it's better because it's got something, but it's way too
Yeah,
high and it feels way too goofy with the deep concave and kick. So it's just like I can totally understand that, especially with it being like a deck maker. Like you want to still have some sort of like feel and look to the board, especially like you want it to, but you also don't want to just sell like a plank of wood so people can say that it like I guess operates well. So I guess as a maker, how do you kind of find that balance between the artistry behind deck making and still making it a high level use board?
making it what? I
like
didn't hear
like
the
like
last thing you
okay,
said.
so I guess when it comes to deck making and things like that, there's always that want to kind of, I don't guess say replicate the skateboard or replicate a better feeling to the hand, like the look of it, I guess. But you do have those people or like I guess writers that want it to kind of resemble like the way they're used to, which is a flatter board. How do you find that balance between like wanting to make the artistry of woodworking and like make the decks look nice, between also staying
Yeah,
true to the writers wanting a flatter or whatever specific style of deck?
right. So the way I approached it, I don't know. I've I've obviously I've viewed skate or fingerboarding as like a skateboard replica, but obviously it's become its own sport, and the functionality, the physics behind it are extremely similar. At the same time, you know,
Yeah, it's like
it's
it's a
kind of
different
its
style of like you're not kicking with your legs in a giant plank of wood. It's something smaller. It's like a piece, smaller
right.
piece.
Yeah, and I just, you know, obviously I'd love to have an exact skateboard replica, but then they would be like tech decks, and they would be 29 millimeter or 26 millimeter. They
Yeah,
wouldn't be these huge 34 millimeter decks that everyone's using now, that everyone prefers. And the functionality of a 34 by 96 deck with uh certain kicks and concave is way different than if you shrunk down a skateboard.
exactly. That makes plenty of sense. That's actually pretty funny though
As
because
far as like
no, go ahead.
staying true to the skateboard shape, I feel like it's there. I mean, it is a skateboard. It is a miniature skateboard, and and I just focused on making it functional as a fingerboard, how I would like it to feel, and how I thought the others would as well.
Okay. Um, so when you come up with designs, like and how you're coming up, like, do you feel like you take more of like the graffiti background into consideration when you're coming up with new designs and feels of like the grip tape or whatever it may be, or are you, now that you're kind of more traversed in the fingerboarding scene, do you feel yourself pulling more from that area of inspiration?
Well, with the tape, really, I'm not pulling anything from the graffiti side of things. It's more so just with the tape, I'm laying down patterns. Um, where it first started was pot leaves, tiger stripes,
Yeah.
uh, anarchy signs. Just anything that I could throw on it. And then I started mashing those up. I started putting bricks on the nose and tail and anarchy signs or pot leaves or whatever in the
Yeah, in
middle.
between.
And I was taking the existing designs, mashing them all up. And that was kind of a new thing. Then lately, I was actually a suggestion from Uncle Urban.
Oh.
He contacted me and said I should make performance grips. And he suggested doing patterns that would increase grip or performance as the tape wore in. So
Wow.
if you look at my past four, the last four tape designs that I released were the performance packs. In each performance pack, there's three designs, and they're basically tighter geometric patterns that would then act similar to treads on a tire.
No, right.
Uh,
That makes sense.
so the so the patterns create a texture, and it reacts with your, it reacts differently. So different patterns have a different feel. As
Right. I can
some
kind of see that, like, with the pictures and stuff. Like you're saying, like tire tread, but like as it wears in and stuff like that, those grooves kind of keep the board able to be flicked, and like the honeycomb pattern. I could definitely see that being like kind of an improvement, and like kind of keeping the tape usable like way beyond its average lifespan, I guess.
Yeah, it actually it the the new tape is actually really dense, and it's very very durable. So some people say that it doesn't wear in very fast
Oh,
because of its durable properties. However, they'll also say that it lasts a really long time. But having these smaller geometric patterns, I feel they give uh, they allow the tape to wear in faster because it's being basically the top surface is being separated into smaller bits. And
no,
yeah,
that
I
makes
don't know.
plenty of
I
sense.
mean,
No, like I'm
it
here. I'm thinking about, like, sorry, my like lack of response there. I'm like thinking about it, and I'm looking at the pictures, and it's making me like I'm like, man, this stuff looks real good. Like with the idea behind it, like the honeycomb pattern and all that stuff. Like it looks like something that can actually be like, if explored upon, that could probably push you way above, above and beyond. Going off that though, like, and Uncle Urban kind of giving you that inspiration behind it. Now that you kind of have opened the door behind it, has this been like like a science lab for you? Have you been kind of like thinking of how far you can take it?
well, yeah, kind of. I mean, so with Uncle Urban making the suggestion, he said, "Oh man, you should make performance tape," and I said, "Dude, I'm on it. I'll do it." And so I did. I made all four packs. I sent him a pack of each for free, and I, wanted him to try it out. He got back to me on it. He let me know that he got it and how that he thought it was cool and which ones he thought would perform best. He posted some videos, which was really awesome. Um, really, after that, I haven't created any more. I have a lot of ideas for different patterns, but as far as like
Like the
having
performance
it
concept.
perform any yeah, as far as having any new patterns perform differently or better than the current patterns, it's it's kind of I don't know. I feel like I can only take it so far.
No, I
However,
get what you're saying. There's
I
kind of like like something you have to go beyond, and then of course you have to keep up with the fact that you have this other side of the graphic tape. You know what I mean? The actual graphic side of it that you have to be keeping up with, and kind of dedicating all of that would be a waste of like what people are celebrating now, which is your current tape innovations. But like I definitely like the idea behind that. Like the whole concept behind that is super interesting. And if you ever have time to continue messing with it, I definitely suggest it because it looks super cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I definitely will. If
eh,
you look at the latest one, it's Performance Pack 4. It has has like some hexagon or some like it looks more like three-dimensional patterns, and it has actually some cross hatches and stuff in it. And those perform much differently than the ones just with the lines on it. So
yeah,
that was a cool step, you know,
towards that
as far
direction
as the
of
performance
performance.
tape
Yeah,
goes.
that's cool. Like I really like the way the honeycomb, like that you're saying the crosshatch and stuff. That looks super good. And then kind of tapering back to your decks then and things like that, and tailoring the boards and things like that. Do you feel like where Chems is right now, like you've kind of hit that sweet spot in like I guess in your career of deck making and tape making? Do you feel like you're kind of found this all around package for basically people and all their needs for boards and tape? Like, are you kind of at that golden age point?
No, I really feel like I'm kind of on my way to something new. I've, I mean, so what I've found is I've tried making a whole bunch of different stuff, obstacles, all sorts of accessories. Uh, Lately I've been making board rails.
Okay.
Like I just released the two-tone board rails and everything, but I still feel like I need to improve my decks. I need to improve my graphics. I have a lot of room to improve as far as like packaging, presentation, and then the quality of what it is that I'm releasing to
Right.
everyone. Uh, yeah, I got a lot of room, and maybe like in a year or so, I might know what products I want to stick with, and maybe I can maybe I'll be able to produce them more often so they're not so hard to get your hands on, because everything I do is like really small batch. I mean, it's hard for me to make a lot of stuff.
Right. It's super like intricate, a lot of the stuff you make. So yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah, and
plenty of sense though.
with my job and everything, it's really hard to focus on this all the time.
No, that makes plenty of sense. You got to balance that. Once you get to that age where you're like doing your real life shit and still trying to keep the passion of the fingerboarding hobby alive, it's like there's always going to be that loss of being able to do. I could do way more if I just didn't have to worry about this. But it's like there's nothing you can do about it. You got to do what you got to do. And then kind of piggybacking off that, I got to ask you two more questions that I always ask everybody.
Yeah.
Because we're reaching that hour mark. The
Okay.
first question, of course, is with everything that you've done in the fingerboarding community and the little bit of time that you have, and then of course your experimentation with like the new board rails and things like that. Um, what like is there anything that you can hint at? I guess in the sense of, and this could be drops or anything new that you're doing. Is there anything that you can hint at now for the people that are really following your brand and stuff like that? That you maybe kind of have over the horizon, or is what you're working with right now kind of what's on the table?
Yeah, I can give some insight. So right now I am working on trying to get some realware graphics. And when I say realware, I mean actual skateboard screen printed transfers
Right.
made by a skateboard manufacturer in California. So that's what I'm going towards. I haven't told anyone that other than close friends, but
Cool.
figure this would be the spot to let everyone know.
Yeah, the niche scene that listen in are definitely people that you would want to let know because they'll be the first people to dive on it. The diehards.
So yeah, I'm moving that way. So in the past, I was always doing laser engraved graphics, which a lot of people liked. A lot of people didn't. Uh, I'll still use the laser for tape and sometimes decks, but I think I need to change some of my production methods, go towards some different graphics, and oh well, maybe some old graphics just in a new graphic style.
Right. Kind of like a new
Uh,
texture.
yeah, and basically, I mean, the mid pro shape is where I want it, and I want to keep it there. I might offer the lower shape again here soon, maybe on next stock or every once in a while.
Ooh, keep an eye out for that.
And then I'll also have obstacles again. I'm working on a batch of obstacles.
That sounds awesome.
They're all going to be heavyweight uh, granite type material, but not as rough
Okay.
on your trucks and stuff. More buttery. So
Ooh,
those will be available USA only, because shipping those
would
across the
be
globe is kind of
Jesus.
pricey since they're heavy.
No, that makes
So
yeah
more,
that shipping would kill you.
yeah. All clear board rails are coming soon. A lot of people are wanting those. The RealWear graphics and obstacles are what's coming down the line. Also, one other thing, it's kind of fingerboarding related, but I am actually working on a new project. It is fingerboarding related. I'm working on a new project. It's actually jewelry, and that's all I'm going to say for now. So
Ooh,
I'll definitely release it, and I think people will like it. It'll be
awesome, dude.
what
That's a new
everyone
thing.
can buy their girlfriends for, or for their girlfriends or whatever.
I got you. And plus the new jewelry like fad in fingerboarding is huge right now. So that's definitely a hot new market to get involved in. And then of course the second question that I ask everybody that comes on the show, at the end of your fingerboarding career, at the end of chems and everything that you've done in fingerboarding, when you kind of are stepping away from it, if you ever decide to do so, what is one thing or like the thing you want chems and like your brand and what you've done in fingerboarding to be remembered like for or known for?
Oh, well, I I I'd like for people to remember it as a brand that was made by a skateboarder. I don't know. I feel like skateboarding is where it all starts, and
Yeah,
it's where it should end. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I just love to skate. I mean, skateboarding is everything to me, and that's the reason why I fingerboard. That's the reason why I make stuff. I I uh I actually had, long ago, before I started selling my graffiti, I actually made a skateboard brand,
awesome.
and that was my first entrepreneur type experience, was actually a skateboard brand. So I don't know, maybe I could bring that back in the future. We'll
Hey,
see.
that's very possible. A lot of people in the fingerboarding world are getting into that whole like I'll support a fingerboard brand if they would release real decks because we all pretty much skate at this point. So yeah, dude, definitely
Right.
would love to see it come back.
Yeah, that'd definitely be cool. It'll just be hard. We'll
Oh
see.
yeah, anytime you expand that product, that product line, it's another risk to take and more stock to sell, pretty much. But again, like I said, we're reaching that hour mark. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna give you the end of this show to kind of basically give shout outs to everybody that you like really want to, and basically say whatever you want or any drops or anything you got coming out. So feel free to take the time, and then I'll let you get out of here.
All right, cool. So right now at chemsfb.com, I have a Go Skateboarding sale. It is you can use discount code SKATE15 for 15% off on your entire order. That's with
Hey,
anything. Uh, Ship worldwide. Also, right now, if you buy a deck, you get a free fingerboard case or a fingerboard bag. You can get that free bag along with your 15% discount. I think there's only 2 decks left up on the site, and there's plenty of accessories, clear board rails with designs, lightning bolts in them, and all sorts of stuff.
No, that's awesome,
I'd
dude.
like
The
to give a
sales.
shout out to Odyssey, Sam.
Woo.
I'm sure you guys know him. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's been going through some troubles lately for some medical reasons. Um, him and his family have been having a hard time financially, and they could use some support from anyone who would want to help. If you go
Definitely.
to his page, he's probably got a link to his fundraiser. You can check him out. Also, Los Angeles Fingerboards just put some awesome decks up. They're painted decks and they look super sick, very intricate. His the quality of his decks are, I mean, they're perfect, absolutely perfect. I don't know if I've seen a higher quality fingerboard.
Words to him.
Also, speaking of quality fingerboards, DK, who is in the Ukraine, I believe.
Yes, super nice guy.
Dude has some
Super nice guy.
crazy deals. He's got real wear graphics, blanks, different shapes. He's got like old school shapes that he just released, uh, some cruiser style popsicles. His decks are absolutely insane as well. The quality is, I mean, they're insane.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been
Um,
looking at his graphics. Those are super nice.
Definitely shout to Nomad Brad and Uncle Urban for giving me all the inspiration. Um, there's too many people to name, but
Plus, getting put on
I
the spot doesn't
appreciate
help.
everyone's inspiration, everyone's support, and I thank you for allowing me to be part of the community. And I definitely look forward to the future of it, and I'll try to do my best. And that's
Awesome.
all I got.
No, that's all I can ask for you, man. Thank you so much for coming on, everybody. Kim's FB. Definitely give him a follow on Instagram, and dude, I'll let you get out of here. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. It was a pleasure. Hello, hello. Oh, did my mic go out? Hang on, I think my mic went out. That was totally my bad. Sorry, everybody. I definitely stepped on my mute button. But I was saying, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure like interviewing you, man. It was super easy talking to you. Thank you so much for even like considering coming on and talking about your awesome products. But everybody, that was Kim's FB. I totally stepped on my mic on the end there, and it like totally disconnected. But I'm sure he's like listening in. Thank you guys so much for coming in and watching this interview. His products are awesome. You can follow him on Instagram at KemsFB. Again, at KemsFB. If you like this content and you want to see more come out, all I can ask is if like make a Twitch account. Come in the chat. Please, if you're watching on my website page, feel free to click the page and it will take you to the official Twitch page. Please make an account. Please, come chat. Let your local brands know and all the brands around you that you kind of associate with if you're a rider or whatever. Please let your brands know that I exist. I'm definitely trying to get as many brands on here as possible so we can get all the information and all the new news of officiated on some sort of platform that we can all talk on as like a live kind of like open place to talk about the improvement and the steps and growth we can take as fingerboarders and hobbyists. That being said, if you do want to take the extra step, the extra step to supporting, you can definitely hit that subscribe button, that follow button on my Twitch. The subscribe button is $5 a month. All the proceeds that come from like the subscriptions and donations and things off of my webpage and on this Twitch page, I go into keeping this basically my home studio open and basically being able to record this and stuff because I have to stay home and work on this stuff. Also, I do just basically, it keeps me able to get product and try new stuff and basically stay on top of my fingerboarding game so I can bring you guys the most new information and things like that about new products and stuff. Lastly, thanks to everybody that comes in and like likes the Instagram page at Stevie from the Sesh. You guys are the shit. That page is growing. I think we're at 300 followers now. It's been growing so much, and I appreciate every last one of you. Without you guys, we would not be here. That being said, though, I gotta get out of here. We had awesome Chems FB, dude. That was awesome. That was an awesome interview. That being said, I said that being said like 800 times. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll see you guys later. Okay. Peace.